Good morning, all. Welcome to Anand Rathi Morning Commodity and Currency Podcast. Let's begin with precious metal update. After hotter CPI numbers released yesterday, probability of a rate cut in May still remains above 50%. While corrective moves seen yesterday indicates trader may remain cautious and wait for more cues on inflation, including PPI numbers and retail sales data, along with Federal Open Market Committee's quarterly forecast for rates due next week. Overall, the impact of the latest inflation figures have room for more corrective moves to follow in day trade today. Technically, gold pivot is around 65,636. If gold surpasses 65,845, it has potential to reach to the levels of 66,144. And conversely, if it falls below 65,117, we might see downside to the levels of 64,818. Going ahead with base metal update, base metal remain in range with some upside bias as investors digested hotter than expected US inflation data that came ahead of a policy meeting from the Fed next week. Domestic consumption is still weak and Chinese equities trading in red can create pressure for copper prices. Technically, copper pivot is around 736. If copper breaks above 739, we may see upside to the levels of 742. And if it drops below 733, we might see downside to the levels of 730. Talking about energy update, oil prices may continue with its tight trading range on mixed demand supply outlook. A bullish trigger that could help drive oil futures out of their tight range may come in the form of rising geopolitical tension or an improving Chinese economy. Both the factors remain highly uncertain at present. Today's EIA data is likely to show drawdown in oil inventories after 7 consecutive sessions of rise. This bias will be slightly positive for the prices today. Technically, crude oil pivot is around 6,447. If crude oil rises above 6,494, we may see upside to the levels of 6,541. And if it drops below 6,382, we may see downside to the levels of 6,335. On currency front, as for the rupee, given that the dollar has gotten itself a temporary reprieve, the chances of USD INR breaking through the lower end of the current range have diminished further. The next data point of importance for currency are the US retail sales and the US PPI due on Thursday. But the chances are that this data release will do little to move the rupee out of its slumber. Major events scheduled today are EIA crude oil inventory. That's all for today's podcast. Have a successful trading day. Thank you.